Welcome to the Insights to Communicate podcast with Adam Probalski, where communications, research, and strategy come together.
Cheryl Bowie, welcome. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you.
Cheryl is a PR expert, a research expert, does work in the PR and branding world, does work in the focus group and research world. Cheryl, why don't you tell the audience about yourself and how you got to the place you are today?
Sure. So I've been in advertising agency business for a few decades here, and we're full service in terms of we're a bunch of creative writers and designers that do branding, marketing, and PR. And in the course of working with a variety of clients, we regularly identified a need for focus groups. That kind of spawned the Focus First business. And for about 20 years now, we've been doing focus groups for market research and oftentimes for startup businesses.
Oh, interesting. And you are based in Louisiana.
Yes.
Is that kind of a focus of business in Louisiana, or are you much bigger than that?
Gulf Coast, Texas to Florida.
Okay.
We've had clients in Mississippi, throughout Louisiana, and into Texas. And today, though, our clients are all over the world. We have clients in South Carolina and Utah. So, in the remote genre of where we are, our clients are now all over.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing to be able to essentially be wherever you need to be. So we'll get to probably what you love about this business that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe share something that you don't love about the business you're in, or maybe reminisce about how good it was and then what's not so good today.
Oh, so, adopting new technology is always challenging. And I've, ridden that wave for quite a few years. So it's kind of the norm. You expect innovation and shifts. I think one of the more challenging ones recently has been the shift to streaming television. It has made buying media more complicated, but it's also made it more successful. Being able to share ROI on a monthly basis is a really good thing.
Right.
It's not so much fun, but it's well worth the effort.
Those spreadsheets are pretty long and wide.
Yeah.
That brings up an interesting point. I don't know if everybody totally understands the implications of what you're saying. The media market or the medium that you can buy are just so broad because we consume so many different platforms. And so, how do you make that decision? There's OTT, which is any kind of streaming services that you can buy ads on. There's obviously broadcast, there's cable, which now accounts for, I don't know, maybe 30% of the population that actually has a cable.
And dwindling.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's digital advertising that you can buy on virtually any website platform. How do you make those decisions for one particular client on what you're buying to reach that audience?
Well, one of the cool things about these new platforms is they let you drill down very tightly. We can target men who are mechanics that live in a specific geographic area.
Right.
And with streaming TV, you're only placing when their device is on and they're watching. With traditional broadcast, it was always a gamble if anybody was going to be home with the TV set on.
Sure.
So today, there are more kind of guarantees in reaching the right audience.
Very cool. Yeah, it's kind of fun to be able to do that drill down and
Yeah,
really get to the core of knowing, you're delivering the message to the people that really need to see it.
right.
But it does present those challenges because you're so segmented.
And the other cool thing about connected TV is that you can actually follow the viewers to websites. It's kind of creepy.
Yep.
Even clients kind of balk when they grasp finally that that's how tightly woven all this is, that someone watches a commercial in Netflix and it will follow them to the Lowe's website tomorrow when they're shopping for a garden hose. So that's pretty tightly targeted.
I explain to people it's either amazing or very scary, the data access that we have.
Right,
I say this all the time in meetings, in the research component, in the polling we do. They're like, how do you know you're really reaching the right people? And I say, look, I don't know how much you have in your Wells Fargo bank account, but I know you have a bank account at Wells Fargo, and it's got less than 100,000 and more than 10,000. And I don't know that your Allstate insurance is paid on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis, but I know you have Allstate insurance.
right.
That's what's available to us, and
Yeah,
it's fantastic from a marketing perspective and very scary from a consumer perspective.
right, right.
So, what do you love to work on? What kind of companies do you love
Hmm,
working for? You said you work for some startups
yeah.
and maybe some more established brands. What's your favorite kind of client to work for?
I do love a startup because we get to address the personality of the brand. Not only are we designing a logo and crafting messaging and a slogan, but we're helping that company determine and define what kind of business they're going to be. How do they want to be perceived by their customers or clients? And that's really fun, helping a business kind of evolve and, are they more of a Volvo or more of a Land Rover? Where is that personality going to settle in? And helping companies do that is really fun. And that's one of the reasons I went into the agency business and have stayed in branding and marketing is that every single day is an entirely new day.
Right.
We're never repeating ourselves or doing the same thing. Um, just are able to do some bizarre things creatively and a full range of PR planning and execution and special events. You never get bored.
That's exciting. Yeah, it's always kind of a little bit perplexing for me. I'm a researcher. That's what I do. I've been involved in all aspects of that marketing, branding scenario. We make a lot of recommendations based upon our research to clients on outreach efforts or campaigns or whatever, public relations. But the creative process is always fascinating to me. I think a lot of people, we have these images on TV of what it looks like and how the sketch on the page becomes the logo or the concept. Maybe talk through your process. Do you have to start with yoga and there's some divine intervention that comes to you on color and form? Or do you have to have five people in the room to kind of bounce ideas off of? How does that look?
So we've had a lot of clients accuse us over the years of drinking a lot of wine in our creative sessions. And they'll say, was this a one bottle or a two bottle creative session?
Sure.
Really, it's more likely a lot of coffee and chocolate.
Okay.
But the magic happens with the combination of people you put around the table. And we need some left brain people, some right brain people. We start with verbal messaging and then start trying to define the creative. And the hook is finding a unique selling proposition for each client. If we can't get to a place where we can define what makes them unique, we need to back up and do a little more research. That's when a focus group might come in handy. But usually, really creative entrepreneurs come to you with something that has a hook. And man, I think consumers even today understand that from watching Shark Tank.
Sure.
So you've got to start with that glimmer and then you just start playing with words. So in our space, giant whiteboards, like we turned entire walls into whiteboards, and our creative sessions have no hierarchy. Everyone gets to contribute. So markers and drawing and sketching, and you can end up with an entire wall of ideas. And that part is really fun in terms of our day-to-day lives.
That's exciting. I think it'd be fun to kind of have a window into that world of your creativity. So in PR world, in marketing world, I think there's this idea that the client thinks that basically everything they have, every idea they have, everything that they promote is just so interesting. And every reporter is just going to want to write a story about their new website or the fact that they're producing a purple widget versus a green one. And obviously, we know that there's no interest on the part of media to write anything about those things.
Right.
So, how do you reconcile that? How do you take that client expectation of this is amazing, everybody wants to hear about it, and give them the perspective of we're not getting press on that? How do you bring them along in that process?
Well, that's where a focus group is super valuable because when they read the transcript and they see the response from the participants who are their target audience, specifically placed around that table, when they can hear it from those live actual people as opposed to just our opinion, it adds a lot more validity. So that's one way that focus groups are super valuable. They can hear it from the person that they're hoping will buy or buy their product or use their service. Um, Another way is we can pursue a line of creative thought that a client likes, but we'll also address what we think is actually going to work. And when we show them both concepts side by side,
Yeah.
suddenly they say, "Oh, I get it now. This wasn't such a great idea."
Oh, that's great.
We've done PowerPoints to help clients appreciate that an idea was not good. And by the time we click through enough negative visual imagery
Right.
about their idea, they're like, okay, stop, I get it.
Very cool. So I am always interested in the journey and the people that made an impact in our lives. I've certainly had important mentors and people that guided me along the way. Is there a mentor or colleague who you have to give a shout out to because they were instrumental in your success?
Um, there's a book, I think it's from the 90s, titled Guts, Guts, by John Lyons. And I think John Lyons' work and that book was really pivotal for me. And this concept of risky advertising is safe, safe advertising is risky.
Hmm.
A lot of clients don't get that, that you're wasting money if the idea isn't creatively strong enough to get someone's attention. I can do your very straightforward approach, but if no one reads it or sees it or hears it, you've just wasted a ton of money. And then I think probably my favorite mentors are actually clients.
Hmm.
Um, had one client in the real estate industry that was a client for more than 30 years, and she taught me loyalty and the importance of honesty in the creative message.
Hmm.
And just following her lead was super valuable.
That's awesome. There's some people think that you've got to find, inspiration or mentorship in defined roles.
Mhm.
It's got to be a professor. It's got to be a former employee.
No, clients have good ideas too.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so technology. What does that look like for you? I think it's always interesting to hear. Like, is it just you and your laptop communicating with your team? Is that email? Is it text message? Is it some platform that we've never heard of? How do you get work done?
That's a good question. Software as a service has kind of revolutionized all industries, and that's true for us. One of our favorite products that we work with is something called Monday.com,
Yeah,
and it's production management software. I don't work for them. I'm not selling for them, but their process, their system has everything is in it. So you will often hear among my staff when someone says, "Where's such and such?" Everybody says it's in Monday.
sure.
So that piece of technology has allowed us to continue working remotely because it's the new physical place for our company
Right.
because files are stored there, work is initiated there. It's streamlined things and made it very efficient. So that, I resisted at first, but once we got into it, the whole production management software platform concept is beautiful. So that was a big change.
That's awesome. I think a lot of small, medium-sized companies struggle with that project management component of the workflow, especially remote companies. My only concern with something like that, because we work with some clients that use money.com, is it's just another place to live. Like we live in our email, we live in our either Google Docs or Box or Dropbox, and we as a company live in Zoom. That's how we kind of communicate internally. And then there's that other place to live. Do you have to reconcile that at all?
We do because once we make a rule that that's where everything goes,
Yeah.
you're kind of breaking the rules if you try to function in email. So, you've kind of got to follow the rules and use it as it was intended to be. But clients don't have access to it. So my relationships with clients still live in email and on Zoom and in person. I'm still really keen on in-person meetings. I pick up more from being in the client space, meeting some of their team, really getting to kind of touch and feel and live their experience.
Yeah.
That can't be replaced. So I still do the in-person meetings.
I'm a huge fan of it. We offer it to virtually every client to be in their conference room, to be on site.
Hmm.
And I'd say maybe 10% take us up on that. And part of that is, from a carbon, expenditure perspective, or
Yeah.
from they're remote, so it's not really important to be in any particular place. But I do kind of enjoy those moments where we get to be in the room.
Yes. Yes. There's a lot of kind of intangible things that you can pick up. And we use something called dimensional branding,
Hmm.
where we try to meet the client at the point of contact, point of sale, and point of delivery for their business. And I've been able to, well, our team has been able to help clients brand each of those points, And if you think about some of the online business world today that's really advanced with packaging and, an upscale business that wants the delivery model to just look gorgeous, or the point of sale has a different kind of impact. Um, you have to look at it three-dimensionally. It's not a 2D flat world anymore. And that has kind of changed how we brand things.
Very exciting. Okay, let's wrap with your mantra, your advice for the world, that phrase or idea that runs through your head every day that inspires you. What can you share with the rest of the world?
um, no boring messages. I I really strive to do everything we can. Our visuals shouldn't be boring. The message shouldn't be boring. No boring messages. There's too many of them out there.
I think we can all appreciate that. Even the consumer can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Cheryl, thanks a ton for joining. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good to meet you.
This has been Insights to Communicate with Adam Probalski, president of the woman and Latina-owned market and opinion research firm, Probalski Research.